Which brings me now, in conclusion, to the contents. We've spoken about processes, we've spoken about systems, we've spoken about the difference between monitoring and evaluation. I just want to start wrapping up with contents of plan. Now you will remember I've said to you in your books, there's templates. I've showed you the NDA report. There's an executive summary. You give a description of your project. You tell us what did you measure. You tell us how did you measure. You tell us where did you get that data. You tell us who did you speak to. And then you tell us the outcome. So this is just a very, very generic framework, because this is part of the system you're now going to develop to measure. It's very, very generic, but I just want to explain to you. So remember, here, yesterday, Tuesday morning, we started with research. The research here is already going to give you indicators. Think about the social baseline study. Think about the socioeconomic study that tells you how many children there are, how many schools there are, what are the literacy level. So already in your assessment, in your planning phase of what to fund, you start generating indicators. It goes on. You know how much you're going to put in. So your input data is very available. Then you're going to look at your activity. You know per program how many training sessions, coaching sessions, number of wheelchairs, value of books. You've got all this data already. Then when you look at the outputs, you know the size and the scale of every program. And then lastly, because you've got the theory of change, you know the outcomes that you want to achieve. And then lastly, how do we measure the impact? So if you just follow here from this side, when you start planning your program right, and let me tell you the unintended consequences, negative impact of an impact assessment is the truth about what you funded and who you funded. What you funded and who you funded. And I can tell you, even because I've done 700 programs, the biggest, most branded, most well-known, the word you use, the most credible NGOs are not necessarily the best one. So I always ask, and if you think back about the positioning of an investor yesterday, I really want to encourage you not just to fund, but build capacity, which is why I challenged you on the word sustainability. If you really want to fund sustainable organizations, you've got to invest in their capacity, so that if you walk away, at least they've got a new skill which they can go and sell. Monitoring and evaluation. Just saying. So the best thing you can do for them is to say to them, when you submit me the proposal, you don't just look at where they're hiding the money and where they're hiding the operating expenses and the budgets and the cell phones and the salaries. Look for one item. Monitoring and evaluation. Did they cost it? Because here's my opinion on it. You're actually getting it as part of your package. In my opinion, sustainability, if they are clever enough to build that capacity, hell, I'm going to charge the hell out of you, because of the value I'm going to add to the project. So I'm just saying, we're perpetuating unsustainable organizations because we're also not investing in them. We're just paying for outcomes. And I'm really, if we really want to change ourselves and become more effective, we've got to change the sector with us. Which, the second question of when we go into an impact assessment that we beg for, to write case studies, to share information, to publish information is, please, the first thing once you get your impact assessment report back, will you share it with the intermediaries? I just want to share what I've shared at tea time. You know, I can show you the value of the work in numbers. The positive unintended consequences of impact assessment. Let me give you an example. So some organizations are more credible than others. Let me give you. So Food and Trees for Africa, since we've assessed them 5 times for 5 different investors, every time we finished with them, they use that information on indicators, what they did right, where the impact was, where the return was. They've built it into their new monitoring and evaluation system. They now have developed a report. Whether you fund them, they give you a standard template. They're not going to ask you for your reporting template, because over time they've now developed this core competency. Let me tell you, the difference is 120 million rand per year. You talk about sustainability. Because the value, they're so credible now because they can prove the impact that people fall. I'm telling you, we've assessed them 5 times already because everybody wants to fund them. Because they're credible, because they can provide evidence of impact. The same happened with Regency Foundation. The same happened with Race Corp. Race Corp was 260 million rand. Once we've assessed them for BHP Billiton, Volkswagen Foundation funded them for 260 million rand, or the enterprise development project. The impact of impact assessment. It's actually not where's the highest impact or the lowest impact. It's the knowledge. And you're not just going to get it out of impact assessment, because here's what I need to conduct the impact assessment: the monitoring report and the evaluation report. That's where my evidence lies for the impact. So I'm just saying, don't underestimate any aspect of the project. An impact assessment is not more important than a monitoring report, because that's where the data starts. So we're going to break for lunch now. When we come back, I'm going to focus now on return. Because I think for us as investors, that's become critically important. The impact we're focused on now, the monitoring process, the evaluation process, the impact assessment process has got to do with everything that we've done based on our resources. But there's a second part to it. When I get asked by boards, we want to know the difference we made and what did we get out of it. So for us, impact and return is 2 sides of the same coin. And I think that is important. If you think where we started a Tuesday morning with a business case, with the value CSI adds to the business, the social capital, the social innovation, the shared value, the collective impact, the increased sales,